name's Kaeden Seburn. I use they or he pronouns, and I'm the Trans and Gender Diverse Student Support Coordinator for the OCDSB. So my work involves sort of anything related to gender identity and gender expression and making schools and classrooms safer and more inclusive for trans and non-binary and gender diverse youth and everyone. And so most of what I do is workshops for students, workshops for staff, or consultation with staff and teachers. And I also run some groups for trans and gender diverse or 2S LGBTQ+ youth in the school board. So we have like drop-in hangout groups for students in the OCDSB. I think that this position is really cool for me because I also identify as trans, and I also came out as trans when I was a student in the OCDSB. So I came out when I was in high school, and had lots of experiences of navigating that in high school and like coming out to other people and socially transitioning at school. And there was parts of that went really well, and places where I was able to do some advocacy for myself and with other students when I was in high school. But there was also things that I could see really clearly were barriers or were could have been better or could have improved my experience in high school. And so that was definitely part of what motivated me to get involved in doing this work at the school board level. And I think it's a really cool opportunity for me to be able to come back into like schools that I went to when I was younger, and also other schools and work with other students who are navigating some of those same systems. A lot of the big challenges, firstly have to do with just knowledge and information. And I think if you're coming out at school or wanting to access different resources or supports at school, I think the people that you're around in terms of both peers and staff and administrators has a really big impact. And so if you're lucky and you're in a class or in a school with people who have already have some information about trans or queer or gender diverse identities, or have an understanding of what you mean when you talk about your identity, that makes a really big difference in terms of people's experiences. And that's not always the case. And often that's just because that information hasn't been available to people, and people didn't necessarily learn about these identities or experiences in elementary school or in high school. And so that has a big impact on the experiences of people who might be navigating some of those challenges. So that's part of the work that I do is trying to do that education, but I'm also just one person. And so there's, I'm thousands and thousands of students and staff across the school board. And I think lots of people doing this work in their own schools and their own communities, but definitely a lot more that needs to be done. One of the other things is curriculum content. I think that there's a lot of places in the curriculum in lots of different subject areas where there's opportunities to have those conversations about queer, trans, or gender diverse people or identities or communities or history. And we don't necessarily have the resources for that to happen easily. So I know, sometimes I have conversations with teachers who might be a history teacher or an English teacher who want to bring in some of that content and talk about the history of advocacy or work that's happened in 2S LGBTQ+ communities, but aren't sure where to go, or we don't have those textbooks or resources that exist to bring that into the classroom. And I think that that's something that would also have a big impact, just in terms of being able to have these conversations throughout everyday life. It doesn't have to be a special workshop where someone comes in to talk about what it means to be queer or trans, because queer and trans people are everywhere. And when we're talking about science and history and social studies, there's so many different places where we could be having those conversations, but the resources aren't always there to make that happen. Students, my challenge to you is to create some of those resources for your peers and for staff and schools to learn more about trans and gender diverse and 2S LGBTQ+ identities and experiences, and also to create some of those resources that might connect with our history or English or social studies or other curriculums that we're already teaching in high school. And where are the places where we could talk more about 2S LGBTQ+ identities and experiences and histories and important people in the curriculum. If you're interested in continuing to learn more about these issues or about different work that's happening in Ottawa to support 2S LGBTQ+ youth, you can check out the 10 Oaks Project at 10 Oaks Project on social media, Kindspace at Kindspace CA, and Safety Ottawa